pressure, shattered dreams. End of times ain't what it seems.
Hello, friends. This is Sam Cheney reporting for Weaponized News. Today, January 27th, 2026. Thank you for joining us on this Tuesday edition of Weaponized News. What do we have to get to? First of all, a maybe correction. I don't know, honestly, about this story. Eileen Smith, a listener to the show, pointed out on the Facebook yesterday that we misreported that one of these protesters was not shot by ICE, but was injured by some type of grenade. I don't know. We'll get to that, but we want to be as accurate as possible with all the information that we cover here. And we appreciate it very much being pointed out to us to maybe take another second look. So we'll cover that today. Trump says he's looking to de-escalate a bit in Minnesota as the fallout from Minnesota continues. Trump is on the campaign trail today in Iowa. He seems concerned that the Republicans are going to lose the midterms in the Congress. We'll see. So all of that fallout still to cover. A lot of inflammatory rhetoric coming out of both sides, Republicans and Democrats here now. No one gets in trouble for that, for inciting violence on both sides. If you and I do it, we're getting our door kicked in by the feds. They do it all day to incite violence. That is your politicians. We'll cover it here at Weaponized News. Don't threaten any government on the internet, in real life. Don't do it. Don't do it. They'll kill you. They'll straight up kill you. 16 Trump aides declared 16 DHS shootings since July justified before probes completed. They've told us these feds have indemnity. So I'm going to go over that. We're going to go over all of these reports. Another individual shot today by the feds, this time Border Patrol in Arizona. We had a couple court rulings back and forth to go over. We're still waiting for the Supreme Court to rule on Trump's tariffs. Trump says in regards to the Minnesota protesters, these are paid insurrectionists and paid agitators. I would agree at some level. And then they rope in the useful idiots, the true believers. And telling you, it's looking like a government operation from top to bottom to me. And then, of course, pitting government against each other, too. They have to sell us the PsyOp now. It can't be that sloppy, as many of these PsyOps are very sloppy. But, hey, they're selling it. They got people worked up into a frenzy. Part of divide and conquer, balkanization, carried out by said government. No one in the government still of any significance has gotten in trouble for anything under the Trump administration. And the crimes are legion, they told us. The director of national intelligence told us the Obama administration did a coup against the sitting president, Trump. Nothing happens to anybody. So tell me more about how trust the plan and promises made, promises kept. It's just all this giant government tyranny against us, running constant information war and PsyOps against us. We'll get to that part of the headlines today. Trump signed an executive order to rebuild Los Angeles. We'll cover that. the fallout from our governor here, Gavin Newsom. We got geopolitical news. We got heavy censorship news. Hell, yesterday's show was censored big time. That's why we can't play the music we want even on this show. It's all copyrighted, and as soon as you play it, they friggin' tag you and ban you on YouTube and Facebook. We got geopolitical news. Banker out of Canada, Carney, right? We've been covering it. Says he did not walk back Davos speech to Trump. So Trump yesterday said that, oh yeah, he sent out a post and put Canada in line. Really? Not according to old Carney today. We got news out of Syria. It's looking like the American technates coming into view here now for us. Trump says Cuba will be falling pretty soon. Right? We've got to get Cuba part of Gulf of America right here, part of the American technate. And so it's all coming along as planned. The CIA is reporting working to set up a permanent U.S. presence inside Venezuela, i.e. technocracy. And then, of course, today is World Holocaust Remembrance Day. Isn't that what it's called? World Holocaust Remembrance Day. We got all that reporting to you. International Holocaust Remembrance Day on this day of January 27th. And the Aardvark land genocide continues. Let's get to this day in history. On this day in our history, let's get to it here now. I can get it lined up. On this day in our history, going back to the year 1710, on January 27th, Tsar Peter the Great sets fire to Russian state budget. Literally. Looks like our leaders in Washington are taking a cue from Peter the Great. In 1785, on this date, we saw the first U.S. state university chartered in Athens, Georgia. In 1820, on this day, allegedly, I think it was discovered way before this, but this is the official discovery of Antarctica. 1820, Russian Antarctic expedition led by Fabian Gottlieb von Belsing-Hansen, one of these long names there for you, and Malik Lazava discover the continent of Antarctica. I believe it was discovered way before then, but that's what the official story says. So we're sticking to it here. In 1823, on this day, President Monroe appoints first U.S. ambassador to South America, kicking off the Monroe Doctrine there. In 1825, on this day, then U.S. President James Monroe urges Congress to approve creation of Indian Territory west of the Mississippi River for the relocation of Eastern Indian tribes to promote their welfare and happiness. It's all for their own safety, you see, obviously. In 1880, on this day, Thomas Edison patents the electric incandescent lamp. And nowadays, they roll out these damn LED lights. I hate them. They suck. They burn out. They're not bright enough. And they just are not a good product. So we can't even progress and improve the electric incandescent lamp patent of 1880 by Thomas Edison. In 2026, these LED lights suck. In 1915, on this day, U.S. Marines occupy Haiti. In 1843, on this day, we saw the first U.S. attack on Germany, air attack on Germany. Wilhelmshaven. In 1944, on this day, we saw the siege of Leningrad lifted by the Soviets after 880 days and more than 2 million Russians killed. You don't hear Russians crying about it all day. You know what I mean? Just saying. 1945, Nazi occupiers forbid food transport to the Netherlands. And so it's building up to, well, we'll get there. In 1945, Soviet troops liberate Auschwitz and Birkenau concentration camps in Poland, now commemorated as International Holocaust Remembrance Day. But the Nazis are in Ukraine and the Soviets freed, they liberated the concentration camps. Yeah, I know. It's hard. It's a lot to wrap your mind around here now. In 1984, on this day, Michael Jackson, the king of pop singer, right, is burned during filming for Pepsi commercial. Remember that? And that was the excuse for his radical plastic surgery, which did really change him and may have been needed due to being burned during this Pepsi commercial. In 1984, on this day, in 1996, Germany celebrates its first Holocaust Remembrance Day. And in 2022, then U.S. President Joe Biden, otherwise known as Autopin Joe, pledges to nominate a black woman to the Supreme Court. How's that legal? You know what I mean? But it had to be a black woman that's not a biologist, apparently. And so everyone applauded that pronouncement by then Autopin Joe Biden in 2022 on this day. And then our civil liberties history. Let's take a look at that quickly. This story I was not aware of. Honestly, I haven't done that. I haven't done deep research into Watergate, but on this day in 1972, the notorious gemstone meeting in Attorney General's office, illegal activities planned. At a meeting in the office of Attorney General John Mitchell on this day, 1972, White House operative G. Gordon Liddy outlines plans for Operation Gemstone, a series of, quote, security measures ostensibly to protect the president and national security that included burglaries, kidnappings, and other illegal activities. Mitchell rejected this plan, but told Liddy to come back with a less expensive one. Liddy made two subsequent presentations of the revised and much scaled down versions of Operation Gemstone in February and March of 1972. The basic idea behind Gemstone lived on and became the basis for the now infamous Watergate burglary. On March 24th, 1972, Liddy and E. Howard Hunt asked a retired CIA physician for an LSD-type drug that would provoke erratic behavior in someone given the drug. Ultimately, Gemstone provided the inspiration for the Watergate break-in on June 17, 1972. I did not realize that. Operation Gemstone hatched the scheme there. And in 1975, on this day, Senate creates church committee to investigate abuses by intelligence agencies in the wake of the Watergate scandal and the abundant abuses of power by the Nixon administration, and also recent revelations of illegal CIA spying on Americans in the New York Times on December 27, 1974. The Senate on this day created the Select Committee to study governmental operations with respect to the intelligence agencies, known as the Church Committee, after its chair, Senator Frank Church, Democrat out of Idaho. The committee held public hearings about abuses by the intelligence agencies and eventually published 14 reports on violations of the rights of American citizens by intelligence agencies. The vote to create the committee was 82-4, indicating the depth of disgust over alleged abuses by the FBI and the CIA. The Church Committee reports are still an extremely valuable resource on the history of violations of American civil liberties during the 20th century by the intelligence committee, by the intelligence community. Excuse me. The Church Committee was paralleled by the Pike Committee, created by the House of Representatives on February 19, 1975, following the revelations about the CIA by the Times. President Gerald Ford tried to head off a congressional investigation by creating the Rockefeller Commission to investigate the CIA on January 4th, 1975, but that effort failed when Congress created the two committees, the Church Committee and the Pike Committee. The Church Committee hearings created sensation after sensation with revelations of CIA assassination plots and more. The Church Committee reports are still an invaluable source of information about the abuses of the CIA, FBI, and other federal agencies against the American people. And none of that stopped. It's got 100 times worse here now with all this technology. Okay, where's our segue? Our segue is we're censored over there on the YouTube and the Facebook. We played too much music yesterday on the program, and we're hit with like, I don't know how many copyright violations, enough to get the show pulled. But let's take a look at Facebook censorship. And it wasn't about the music, even though they flag everything too. It says, we removed your video. Why this happened? This video may contain something that could encourage violence and lead to risk of physical harm or direct threat to public safety. That's yesterday's show. I'm a firm believer in the non-aggression principle. You should only use violence in self-defense. So I wasn't encouraging violence. I'm saying hug a ICE, hug a illegal, hug a aardvark. We need to de-escalate all of this insane level of violence that we're seeing. And so I'm definitely not doing that. But of course, it's the AI on Facebook. It doesn't know any difference. And so the show was pulled off of Facebook live stream yesterday. And like I said, I got like 6 or 7 copyright tags from the music we played yesterday on YouTube. So you can't see yesterday's show on YouTube or Facebook. It's been banned. Now on to this report from calling me out, and thank you very much there, Eileen Smith. Eileen Smith on the Facebook, a listener I know. Well, let me pull it up here. Said we got this one wrong. I got this one wrong yesterday. This protester was not shot in the hand, apparently. But this is where I got my reporting from, and I ran this image through Google reverse imaging, and there's not much about it out there, honestly. So we just have to take these bigger social media accounts. But this is where I got the original reporting from. Woman runs in agony after being shot in the hand, from the Irish Star. So apparently their reporting was not accurate. other reports, and I haven't seen it from any other. So it must be not a thing because no other mainstream media has reported on it. So apparently this protester was picked up some type of grenade and it blew up in their hand, and that's what caused the injury. They're not being shot by ice, so there's the correction, according to social media reports. So I don't know. It's sketchy out there. You know what I mean? It's sketchy. So, but looking on it, it appears that it was some type of crowd control. You know, tear gas, flashbang grenade, something like this is what blew up in this woman's hand. But it's hard to find any reporting on it except for that one report from the Irish Star. So that's my correction. Thank you very much for pointing that out on this post here. But still, I'm not 100%. This guy, David J. Harris Jr. on the Facebook, giant account, 3 million followers. I'm sure I'm vaguely aware of this guy. Yeah, they're pushing the right wing narrative, all of your same routine to divide us up, right? So I don't know. Maybe it happened. Looks like that's what happened. Is it was not a shot in the hand, but some other type of injury uh, that this individual suffered during the ICE riots there in Minnesota. So there's the correction on that. Maybe I don't even know 100%. I guess Irish Star was got it wrong here. Okay, a lot to get to today. Everybody stay warm out there. We're still under these heavy cold conditions out there. Here's the map. Here's the map. Stay warm out there. I'm over in Fresno. It was pretty nice today. The sun was out, so not bad. But when the sun goes down, it gets cold here, and I'm not used to it, so I get very cold. Anyhow, here's the map of the rest of the country. Minneapolis, -2. You gotta be crazy to be out there protesting. So it looks like it's warming up a little bit, but stay warm. Stay warm as the country. What was it? 30 something yesterday. 34, I believe. There was different reports on the death count, but Winter Storm Fern still hanging around here with very low temperatures across the country. Stay warm out there, friends. Stay warm. Where we at here? Let's get to here's Trump today. Again, campaigning in Iowa. He's on the campaign trail. Says we're gonna de-escalate a bit in Minnesota. Maybe. They're going to de-escalate there in Minnesota, Trump says. This came out of The Guardian, posted by Jason Bassler, Free Thought Project. Disheartening U.S. Justice Department slashes funding to programs combating child sex trafficking. Trump says he doesn't like that Alex Prete was carrying a gun. I don't like that he had a gun. Here it is. Is Trump against your right to self-defense? I agree with Trump there, but it's your right to carry, and you're risking, right? That's your right in Minnesota. We covered it yesterday, to conceal carry, but you're risking you go to a protest with a gun and the cops see that, they're automatically going to say, "I fear for my life," and start shooting you, as we've seen. So, you know what I mean? Same, same with the first and the second. You got these rights, but you got to be responsible with them now here as well. But it doesn't give the feds a free rein to just murder anybody they want, which is now the trend. We'll get to that. Here's more from Trump on the right to self-defense. Yeah, it's not a good clip. You can't even hear him. Trump said that protesters can't have guns. You can't have guns. You can't walk in with guns. You just can't. I kind of agree with him. Like, you can, but then there's going to be repercussions by these paranoid feds, and they may just shoot you as they've done here now. More on this de-escalation. The White House says turn over all incarcerated or active warrant criminal illegal aliens for immediate deportation. That's something that I haven't looked into that much, but that one story about the guy, the biggest jewelry heist ever, remember? We covered that last week from, what was that, out of the LA Times? And that guy did this big old jewelry heist, and instead of facing trial for that, got deported back to Ecuador. You know what I mean? So wait a minute. You're doing big crimes here, these big armed robberies, and you're facing trial, but you're an illegal alien, and so you just get deported? You know what I mean? Like, wait a minute, something ain't right here. Transfer all criminal illegal aliens arrested by state and local police. Assist federal authorities in detaining criminal illegal aliens wanted for crimes. Democrats must work with the federal government in the rapid removal of all criminal illegal aliens. It's that simple. In the chaos. That's the message today coming out of the White House. Tom Homan went there, says today I met with Governor Walz, Mayor Fry, and top law enforcement officials to discuss the issues on the ground in Minnesota. We all agreed that we need to support our law enforcement officers and get criminals off the streets. While we don't agree on everything, these meetings were a productive starting point, and I look forward to more conversations with key stakeholders in the days ahead. Who the hell are the key stakeholders that he's talking about here? You know what I mean? President Trump has been clear. He wants American cities to be safe and secure for law-abiding residents, and they will be. Again, the government can't and won't keep you safe. Sorry to tell you that, break that to you here now. I'm sure most of our audience knows that. President Trump and Ice Barbie Gnome are fighting every day to ensure there is never another tragedy like this. They're talking about, this is a post by Department of Homeland Security. They're talking about Rachel Marin's killer entered the United States illegally and was released under the Biden administration. Well, why is no one held accountable for that? It's horrific tragedy, right? Just months later, he brutally raped and murdered the young Maryland mother. There have been too many victims of criminal illegal aliens. This administration will step up to protect Americans when sanctuary politicians won't. I guess it's all going to come to a head what where we at? The 27th today. So what, the February 2nd is Monday of next week, and that's when all of these federal payments are set to go out to the states. We're going to see what happens. Trump says he's withholding federal payments from sanctuary jurisdictions. We'll see. We'll see how this sorts out. Send in the ICE and arrest these sanctuary politicians. How about that idea? That doesn't ever happen, does it? The inflammatory rhetoric here now, none of these guys' social medias are banned because they want this environment of division to continue. Here's Governor Gavin Newsom, American Psycho, out of California, says Stephen Miller is directly responsible for deaths, violence, and chaos from Trump administration's lawless, violent rampage across America. He must be fired and held accountable. That's pretty freaking extremely inflammatory rhetoric coming out of the Governor Gavin Newsom account. That's an official governor account, ca.gov. Why is he never held account for his inflammatory rhetoric inciting, of course, the left wing to rage against Stephen Miller? And I don't even necessarily disagree with him, but I mean, this is a direct message again, warning you lefties. I don't think many watch this show, but you lefty Democrats, don't be listening to these politicians. They're going to feed you right into the wood chipper of ICE freaking explosives and freaking firearms in your face. Code red in the United States of America. But there's more. Oh, wait, there's more. There's more here. Gavin Newsom says Donald Trump does not support the Second Amendment. Well, that may be true, but neither does Gavin Newsom. And so he's trying to reframe himself as some kind of great patriot, hardliner on your natural rights or your Bill of Rights and Constitution and all this. Nothing could be further from the truth coming out of Gavin Newsom. I mean, it's just beyond the pale of ridiculousness here now. So you got two tyrants that don't support your right to self-defense, honestly, Newsom and Trump, but they're playing this game, the left-right game. Trump administration does not support the Second Amendment, as if the Newsom administration supports it. It's just beyond the pale of ridiculousness, but that's what all of this has become, dystopic clown world. That may be true. Trump administration does not support Second Amendment. Neither does the Newsom administration. More rhetoric, inflammatory rhetoric coming out of politicians. Why do none of them ever get in trouble? You and I say this stuff, we're getting a knock on our door from the feds, man. Minnesota State Rep Brad Tabke tells anti-ICE groups to work in pairs, claiming ICE breaks laws and poses threats. ICE has a tendency to break laws and threaten to kill us. We need multiple people together to document and keep them honest. It's pretty inflammatory rhetoric, telling his supporters that the feds are there to kill you. Like, dude. Why do none of these politicians ever get in trouble for these threats, essentially? Now, Mr. Autopin, Joe Biden, is Joe Biden even still alive? Somebody's posting on his social media accounts. Is he even still alive? Last we saw Biden, he was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, was it? Hug a Biden, no matter how criminal and treasonous they are. Hug a Autopin today. You know what I mean? We're spreading the love here. We don't want any violence. Biden calls for all of America to stand up and speak out like Minnesotans have against Trump. Again, follow these politicians at your own peril because they're leading you right off a freaking cliff. They're leading you right off a cliff. No single person can destroy what America stands for and believes in. Not even a president. If we, all of America, stand up and speak out, we know who we are. It's time to show the world. Why is he not in trouble? Everybody underneath him, for the open borders, for the trafficking of the children, for the trafficking of illegals, and it goes on. All the crimes they committed. No one's in trouble from Mr. Autopin, Joe Biden's administration. Seriously, though. But we're fighting in the streets amongst each other. That is idiot Americans. So yeah, you can be for the right to self-defense. You can be for the right to protest, which are your First and Second Amendment rights. And as I said, while exercising these rights, you have to realize they come with some responsibility. And again, hey, take your gun to the protest, but realize the feds see it. They may very well shoot you, and they're just going to say, hey, I feared for my life and I shot you. And that's the way it's going to be. And they're not going to get in trouble. So keep that in mind, what you're up against, just like your First Amendment. If I'm saying all this inflammatory rhetoric, inciting violence, that's my First Amendment. But hey, the feds are going to probably come knock on my door. You see? And so is any of this right? Do I agree with any of this? No, but that's the reality of the world we live in. Trump aides declared 16 Department of Homeland Security shootings since July justified before probes completed. This is a report out of the Washington Post. They say DHS officers have fired shots during enforcement arrests or at people protesting their operation 16 times since July. And as in the recent shooting in Minneapolis, in each case, the Trump administration has publicly declared their actions justified before waiting for investigations to be completed. Most of the incidents involve officers firing at drivers during enforcement stops in cities like Los Angeles and Chicago, where DHS has surged federal immigration officers. At least 10 people have been struck by bullets, including 4 U.S. citizens. 3 people have been killed. The shootings have sparked alarm, not only for their violence, but also for the Trump administration's response. Well, they said, if you're fed, you have indemnity, essentially. And this is adding more credence to those claims, already clearing them before we don't even know what happened. How can we watch the same freaking video and come to some two totally different conclusions? And how can we trust the feds to investigate themselves? Well, the answer is we can't. We can't. So, controversial Border Patrol chief and some agents expected to leave Minneapolis today. And that's old Greg Bovino running around looking. He's doing it on purpose, right? I mean, come on. The feds are not stupid. They say send in this guy with a high and tight haircut with his freaking looking a la SS Fed dress up, get up. And they're like, this is going to incite the hell out of the left wingers. Send them out there. And to be just an unrelenting tyrant, right? And go, and he's on social media, and it's just like beyond ridiculous security theater. We still have no mass deportation. All this bullshit sucking up all the oxygen, all the political oxygen. We're dealing with this. Hey, we still got 50 million illegals in this country. We'll say, what, 48 million illegals now, right? Get them out of here. Get them out of here. Where are we at? Virginia judge rules that proposed constitutional amendment allowing Democrats to withdraw the state's congressional maps is illegal, as ruled today, according to a report of the Associated Press. Make our cities safe again. So Trump's campaigning on for the midterms. Any more on? Yeah, so they're pulling that old Bavino out. It's not going to march around Minnesota anymore, apparently. But aren't they all working together? Looks like they're all working together to create this whole situation. When someone going to get in trouble for all the fraud, for the sanctuary city policies, how is that not obstruction of justice if the state and local authorities in Minnesota are releasing all these criminals back on the streets? You know what I mean? As the feds claim. It's still a mess. We got more on that. Let's see. One person in critical condition after being shot in incident involving Border Patrol in Arizona. That's according to NBC News. The individual is in custody and receiving care, according to law enforcement. A person was shot in an incident involving U.S. Border Patrol in Arizona earlier today, according to Pima County Sheriff's Department spokesperson. The individual, who has not been identified, was shot in southern Pima County near milepost 15 of West Arcava Road at around 7:30 this morning, according to a news release from the San Rita Fire District. The fire department said it transported the person in critical condition. The circumstances leading to the incident were not immediately clear. There is no information whether anyone from law enforcement was injured in the incident. DHS did not immediately respond to the request for comment. Patient care was transferred to a local medical helicopter for rapid transport to a regional trauma center, the fire department said. The incident remains under active investigation by law enforcement agencies. So that's not really telling us a whole lot about what happened there. Minnesota judge summons ICE leader to court, threatens contempt sanctions. Report out of Politico. It was a George W. Bush appointed judge. Said the administration had repeatedly violated or slow walked court orders in Minnesota. They are looking pretty damn tyrannical in these military get-ups and the face mask and all this. Border Patrol there. Minnesota's chief federal judge has ordered the head of ICE, Todd Lyons, to appear in his courtroom Friday and threatened to hold him in contempt for what he says have been repeated defiance of judges' orders in the state. The court's practice is at an end, or the court's patience, is at an end. Judge Patrick Schultz said in a 3-page order issued late last night, demanding the acting director explain himself personally. We'll see how that sorts out. Trump administration wins court victory, freeing ICE agents from Minnesota protest restrictions. This was a ruling issued yesterday. Out of the 8th Circuit Court of Appeals, it overturned a lower court ruling that blocked certain tactics against anti-ICE agitators in Minnesota. They can now, ICE, the feds, the court ruling by a 3-judge panel, the 8th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals, put a stay on a lower court ruling that prevented officers from arresting, detaining, pepper spraying, or retaliating against protesters in Minneapolis without probable cause, as anti-ICE agitators continue to confront ICE carrying out alleged immigration enforcement operations. We're still waiting for mass deportation. So I guess they didn't get the memo, because they've been using these tactics the entire time, as far as I can see. But apparently now these tactics against the anti-ICE agitators, i.e. domestic terrorists, labeled by the Department of Homeland Security, are now in effect. So you can go ahead and arrest them, detain them, pepper spray them, and retaliate against Minneapolis protesters without probable cause. Thank you very much, 8th District. Trump says that they're paid insurrectionists. These are paid agitators. I don't necessarily disagree with them at some level. It is highly organized. Why are none of the organizers funding this, coordinating it? Why is no one in trouble? You get your low-level people on the streets, illegals and citizens, battling it out. And the racket continues here now, doesn't it?
A little crime.
But it's gone very differently in Minneapolis.
Well, it has. It's the only place.
And now the message is out that Tom Homan is in.
Yeah.
Commander Bovino is supposedly leaving Minneapolis along with some CBP agents. Is this a pullback?
I don't think it's a pullback. It's a little bit of a change. Everybody in this room that has a business, you know, you make little changes. You know, Bovino is very good, but he's a pretty out there kind of a guy. And in some cases, that's good. Maybe it wasn't good here. But you have to understand, when I watch some of the people that I've been watching over the last few weeks, these are paid insurrectionists. These are paid agitators. These people aren't normal, like, oh, gee, that, you know, they're incensed about anything. How do you get incensed when you go into a state and you're taking criminals out? You're taking monsters out.
But now it's turned into, now First Amendment, Second Amendment, they're killing American citizens. We're not getting mass deportations. All this handled very, I believe it's all engineered conspiracy by the government, but at the very least, very poorly handled. They knew that these situations would escalate. They know that these networks of left-wing professional agitators run by the feds. You know what I mean? Don't shoot me, bro. I'm changing all my social medias to I stand with ICE. I stand with Border Patrol. Don't shoot me, bro. We're good. We're good. Right? So Trump says, I'm looking at the whole situation. I love everybody. I love all our people. I love his family. And it's a very bad situation. Well, I feel the same way there, Trump, but it's kind of too bad. I have a hard time believing your sentiment.
Well, I'm looking at that whole situation. I love everybody. I love all of our people. I love his family. And it's a very sad situation. Well,
so what are the feds going to find? They already ruled it was a domestic terrorist, and the officer's life was threatened. So I think they've, in like the first 5 minutes that it happened, right? Here's more from Trump about it. They're going to do a big investigation.
That Alex Carter's death was justified.
well, you know, we're doing a big investigation. I want to see the investigation. I'm going to be watching over it. I want a very honorable and honest investigation. I have to see it myself.
That Alex Carter's death was justified.
Well, you know, we're doing a big investigation.
Do we have no audio? Type too slow. No sound on Trump vid. Oh, I think we fixed it there. Shout out to the listeners over there on the Rumble, Karen, Fat Bob, others on the YouTube Ruckus. Shout out to you there, and Sully. They say Sully there on the YouTube says all notifications on and didn't get one. Also didn't bring up live under subscriptions. Yeah, we're like shadow banned into nothingness here. Shout out to the to Jan over there on the Rumble. Yeah, Pliskin. Thanks for the music. I always like it when you add it. Yeah. You just can't play it because everything's copyrighted. Even though it's 100% fair use, they don't care because it's not even people doing it, it's AI. We know that last year under Walz's leadership, governor of Minnesota, that those city and county jail released 470 criminal illegal aliens. So isn't this obstruction of justice? Like, it seems like they could cook the feds, if they really wanted to, the Justice Department can cook up some charges against these jokers over there leading the state of Minnesota and the local quote authorities. And so, but nothing, no charges against them, nothing. Isn't this like, they go on to say, this right from the White House, this woman with her strong rhetoric, right? She's an apologist for the Department of Homeland Security. But anyhow, she goes on to claim that before they release a criminal illegal alien onto the streets to give us notification so that we can come pick them up is all they've been asking for, they say. Wasn't that obstruction of justice? I don't know. I'm not a lawyer, but I'm pretty sure DOJ can indict a ham sandwich. They could cook up something, conspiracy against these jokers, but nothing. Department of Homeland Security highlights more worst of the worst, including sexual predators, domestic abusers, perpetrators of fraud, robbers, violent assailants, arrested over the weekend in Minnesota. Like, are they defending illegal alien? I guess they are, but it just seems like they're fighting the feds here. Well, maybe. Karen says since we're all broke, we should go apply for riot season positions. It's freaking cold over there, man. They got to pay you a lot. I don't think they're paying enough. Local Minnesota police arrested violent rioters last night, Department of Homeland Security tells us. Here's just a short clip of last night there in Minnesota.
What the fuck, Carlson? You traitor!
So there you go. The local cops are arresting people breaking the law. I know, novel concept. It goes back to the order followers, right? And so local Minnesota police are arresting people for breaking the law. Well, they had stand down orders before that. And so whoever gave the stand down order, why don't they get in trouble for not enforcing the law? Same with the feds, though. Same with all of these militarized police on the streets of America. They're all just order followers. Allegedly, I haven't been down there. I can't confirm with my own eyes. Allegedly, they're building the wall. The White House tells us 0 border crossings. Build the wall, defend the border, protect America. Post by the White House today. Is there a wall there? Is it built to keep us in or to keep the illegals out? ACDC can't see the White House. They're the government. They just steal everybody's music. Don't give a damn about copyright. They don't get censored. Maybe they will on YouTube or Facebook, but not on the X anyhow. Can't be playing that music, right? Because we get tagged with a copyright. The border wall construction allegedly continues here now, but it's fully militarized, the southern border. And again, to keep us in or to keep them out, a combination of both. And why does no one get in trouble for it getting to this point in the first place in the government? ICE agents set to have security role during Winter Olympics in Italy, prompting an uproar. Variety reports here now that, yeah, ICE agents will have a security role during the upcoming Milan Winter Games in Italy. According to several reports, ICE and the U.S. Embassy in Rome have confirmed to the Associated Press and AFP that ICE agents will be traveling to Italy for the upcoming February 6th through 22nd Winter Olympic Games, but only in a capacity of supporting domestic security details. The mission creep here now of the growing federal government, ICE now running security in Italy for the Winter Olympics. A militia that kills, uproar in Italy over ICE security role at Winter Olympics. The Guardian reports. Milan mayor says agents not welcome in co-host city, and Italy can take care of security itself. Well, maybe they need to get shot over there in Italy, right? Maybe you guys need to F around and find out, right? That's MAGA's attitude about the whole thing. And let's wrap all this up over the weekend and all of this. Mediate one sheet, Minneapolis retreat, ZBS all hands, and Washington compost crumbling. Let's take a look at all the fallout over this ICE shooting, the rest of the civil unrest going on there. The Minneapolis story turned in a massive way on Monday. Border Patrol Commander Bavino was demoted and is leaving Minnesota, reported that. Holman is taking over, reported that. Nome spent 2 hours in the Oval Office. Her job status is unclear. I believe Trump did say that her job is secure there earlier today. So Trump called Walls, said they're on the same wavelength. We covered that. The retreat, how the Trump administration lost a weekend. Trump administration retreated Monday from its position it staked out over the weekend. Well, yeah, because they automatically came out and said domestic terrorists, we're in the right, you're wrong. Political playbook framed ICE Barbie sidelining as nothing short of public humiliation. Greg Bavino, whose military-style coat and combative press conferences became the visual signature of the Minneapolis operation, was stripped of his command-at-large title. CNN reports the Department of Homeland Security suspended Bavino's access to his social media accounts effective immediately. Yeah, he was all over social media. Whoever's running that account was all over there calling out politicians, calling out the media, getting it into them, scrapping over the weekend with lawmakers. Yeah. Anything else? Yeah, I think we're covering it a lot more than this wrap up, but I think we pretty much. Oh, the what do they say here? Liz Wheeler of remember this, of Epstein Binder fame. Remember that clownfluencer woman? Suggested protesters could be killed for impeding traffic. Don't stand on the freeway blocking traffic as a protester. That's for sure. But hey, the cops could move out of the way too, just saying. But go into these situations knowing these cops have an itchy trigger finger, and they'll just say, hey, my life was threatened, bang. And that's it. That's it. So be aware out there. That's the environment we're in. And two stories quickly that somehow got in my stack of all this DHS reporting. We had two stories on the economy today, or a couple stories actually. The S&P 500 closes at a record today as tech giants rally, CNBC says. So the S&P 500 rose to new all-time inter-day trading high today, aided by gains in big tech. But over here on Main Street, not really so much the casino known as the stock market, stock exchanges. Amazon's closing all Amazon Fresh and Go stores to focus on Whole Foods and grocery delivery. I've never even seen one of these stores in my area, Amazon Fresh. I guess I never will, because how many of them? 72 stores nationwide are being closed by Amazon, these Amazon Fresh stores. And then how's precious metals markets looking today? Gold, I believe, another all-time high. Just pull it up here for you quick. Yeah, gold is overseas trading now at $5,207. That's insane. And then silver hanging tough at $113.40 some odd cents. It's fluctuating due to volatility in trading overseas right now, but hanging tough in there. The precious metals prices. What does Plitzkin say on the YouTube? Says the movie S is a perfect representation of clown world. Watch with caution. What is S? You got to spell it out for me, Plitzkin. Okay, where are we at? We're at the 1 hour mark. Let's take our live commercial break. Everybody go to weaponizednews.com. Get yourself some stickers over there. Some stickers. Holograph sticker, the white sticker, and the clear background sticker. Weaponizednews.com. Go to our store over there. Put these stickers on your laptop, your bumper, your guitar, your hard hat, your work locker. Help spread the word about independent reporting and analysis, brought to you 5 days a week here at Weaponized News. In the description below this video is a link to our store. We've got the stickers, we've got baseball caps, we've got coffee mugs, custom t-shirts. Go take a look, patron our store. It's appreciated. If you don't want to do that, go to weaponizednews.com, give us a donation, PayPal donation button right on the front page. You can find it very easily. In the description below this video, link to the store, Cash App, buy me a coffee, Bitcoin wallet address, all right there, all ways to support Weaponized News. We appreciate all the subscribers on the different platforms, local, Substack. I think we even got a buy me a coffee subscriber. And so all the different ways, many different ways out there to help support this broadcast. It's much appreciated. Thank you very much. And I appreciate the corrections. You see me make a mistake and you want to challenge me, send it in, tag me on the social medias. I will address it here and try to get it right. We're trying to be as accurate as we can be in this age of AI disinformation out there. And it is true what the UN says, think before you post, because, hey, you get caught up in either side or any narrative out there for that matter. Left, if you're pushing all that left, there's going to be a lot of disinformation, and they're pushing all that right narrative. There's going to be a lot of disinformation out there. And that stands true for anything in this information age of PsyOps that we're in. So send in the corrections for me. I'll address it and correct it as appropriately. Thank you very much for Eileen Smith correcting us yesterday on that. I'm still not 100%, but it looks like that is more accurately reported, that the protester's hand was injured by some type of explosive device and not shot by ICE, as addressed at the beginning of the show. Continuing to the second half of Weaponized News on this Tuesday, January 27th, 2026 edition. Thank you for joining us. We'll just leave the commercials at that. Here's a good one. I know Ruckus will appreciate it. West Chicago School District 33 put a teacher on leave over a Go ICE Facebook post, calling it disruptive to the school community. He briefly resigned and reversed it and is now sidelined while an investigation drags on. They don't seem to have a problem with people calling for violence against ICE, only with those who openly support it. Well, we don't want violence on any of these sides. So, yeah, the 33rd district there in Chicago, I found interesting. And in the background too, they're running these Masonic PsyOps, as the George Floyd out of Minnesota happened there as well, that riled up all the left wing for your Summer of Love riots here now. Not doing as good in the winter, but on to more censorship here now. The new TikTok owners declare no finish line for pro-aardvark censorship. So it seems that if you want to not hug an aardvark on the TikTok, you're dead in the water. So they really are cracking down, and we have more video of that from the newly appointed CEO, Adam Presser, later. But it's looking like most reports are saying TikTok is being heavily censored. Now, other reports saying that TikTok's not only censoring the septics, the antiseptics out there in the world, but it's also allegedly banning the word Epstein. And so you're not allowed to, well, here's Gavin Newsom. I don't know how much we can take from this. Sad situation. Oh, thank you. Thank you there, Plitskin, on the YouTube. Here's Newsom says, it's time to investigate. I'm launching a review into whether TikTok is violating state law by censoring Trump critical content. They're saying you can't search for Epstein on TikTok, is what the governor of California, Gavin Newsom, like he cares about your First Amendment and censorship. He's a strong advocate of censorship, let me tell you, here in California. France has had enough of all these U.S. Are they even considered U.S.? They're multinational corporations operating around the world, but allegedly headquartered here in the U.S. France has had enough of these big techs. I don't blame them, honestly. I'm from U.S., right? And I've had enough of them. France will replace Microsoft Teams and Zoom with its own video platform, Vizio, across all government departments by 2027. The move is aimed at bolstering digital sovereignty, securing government communications, and cutting costs. I don't blame France, because these bastards are spying, stealing your data, lying, and everything else in between, coming out of big tech bro technocracy. So now France can have its own version of big tech bro technocracy over there. Vizio coming online in France for the government in 2027. Here's Fuana Robotics, founded by Meta and Google engineers, launched Sprout, a 3.5 foot tall humanoid robot retailing for around $50,000, built specifically for safe operation in human-centric environments like hotels, offices, entertainment venues, and homes. And again, on the illegal immigration, Trump is not targeting agriculture operations, and he's not targeting hospitality operations as well. And he said as much. And so not targeting the employers of the illegal aliens is greatly hindering mass deportation. And what are we going to do with all the low-skilled workers that allegedly are going to be replaced by humanoid robots? Let's take a look at this newest humanoid robot.
At Fauna Robotics, we believe the robots belong in the real world. So we've done things a little differently. Sprout is a robot you actually want to be around. One that's expressive, lightweight, durable, soft to the touch, designed without pinch points, and compliant. It's safe, capable, and ready to go. Sprout is a developer platform for people who want to build, not start from scratch, so you can focus on what excites you and trust the rest to just work. Perception, navigation, and movement right out of the box. Built by our team right here in New York City. A humanoid robot meant to be explored, extended, shared. So that one day robots can live alongside us, around the people who matter most. Sprout is just the beginning of a future built together. What comes next is up to you.
There you go, soft to the touch robots. Very loving and cuddly. Karen says, don't worry about the robots. We're going to get high unicorn basic income. Yeah, so extremely high. Musk told us, right? We can trust him. Here's meme of the day from the U.S. Department of Education. We didn't get one as DHS has its hands full. Apparently, they've told them, scale back your memes. We're getting a meme a day for a while from Department of Homeland Security. Now, the U.S. Department of Education, which we were promised would be abolished by now, but still is there. Schools are like shoes. They're not one size fits all. Yeah, resign then, Linda McMahon and the rest of you jokers at the Federal Department of Education. We're still waiting on that. I know everybody's very optimistic that listens to Weaponized News. That's why we're reporting to you today. The doomsday clock of 2026 has been updated. It says the apocalypse is even closer than ever. We're at 85 seconds to midnight, to the end of the world here now. And that's the thumbnail. Let's hear the report from U.S. Bulletin of Atomic Scientists. Move the doomsday clock forward 4 seconds to 85 seconds to midnight.
It is the determination of the Bulletin's Science and Security Board that humanity has not made sufficient progress on the existential risks that endanger us all. We thus move the clock forward. The doomsday clock is a tool for communicating how close we are to destroying the world with technologies of our own making. The risks we face from nuclear weapons, climate change, and disruptive technologies are all growing. Every second counts, and we are running out of time. It is a hard truth, but this is our reality. It is now 85 seconds to midnight. This is the closest the world has ever been to midnight.
Well, they seem pretty optimistic about our future, don't they? But then you go look into some of the, I'm just not buying some of these threats. Some of these threats that we're facing, they claim are climate change, right? Continued threat of nuclear weapons. I'm not buying that one like I used to. Climate change, definitely not buying that. Biological threats and disruptive technologies. Are we facing an Atlantean moment here now as a mini claim that Atlantis, right, the mythical technological city, blew itself up due to high technology. Are we on that same path as Atlantis to blow ourselves up? I don't know, but according to the doomsday clock of atomic scientists, we're at 85 seconds to midnight. But again, they're claiming nuclear weapons, climate change, biological threats. I know bats are still scaring the hell out of me, but yeah. Okay, so a lot to look forward to. 85 seconds to midnight. Here's Carney following up again on, yeah, he's part of China, New World Order. Banker Carney out of Canada.
I said in Davos, it was clear it was a broader set of issues, that Canada was the first country to understand the change in U.S. trade policy that he had initiated, and we're responding to that. We're responding positively by building partnerships abroad, we're responding positively by building at home, and we're prepared to respond positively by building that new relationships with Guzman. He understood that, and it was a good conversation, as I say.
So they're all on board with UN Agenda 2030. Trump has different plans, building out the American technate for his version of a new world order. So what's happening there in Syria now? Reports that United States is going to withdraw troops. Why are we even there in the first place? Oh, the Constitution says we're police of the world. I forgot. But old al-Shara, former head of ISIS and al-Qaeda, now self-proclaimed president of Syria, had a phone call with Trump today. And he went on to say, during the call, developments in the transitional phase in Syria and the efforts being made to enhance security and stability were discussed, in addition to prospects for bilateral cooperation in a way that serves regional and international stability. President al-Shara affirmed Syria's full commitment to the unity of its territory and national sovereignty, and the state's determination to preserve its institutions and strengthen civil peace. He stressed the importance of unifying international efforts to prevent the return of terrorist organizations, foremost amongst them ISIS. Gotta stop ISIS, says former head of ISIS. Here's the press release there. As Trump continues to praise al-Shara there. The technate is coming along. Trump says that Cuba will fall pretty soon. I don't doubt him. They're levying sanctions, embargoes, and we just may, direct energy weapon attack them as well.
Well, we're going to see what happens with Cuba. I don't know. Anybody interested in Cuba in this room? Not too many people. This is not a Cuba room, but that's all right. There are plenty of them around, especially in Miami. And Cuba will be failing pretty soon. Cuba is really a nation that's very close to failing. You know, they got their money from Venezuela. They got the oil from Venezuela. They're not getting that anymore.
We're taking all this. Part of the American technate right here. Took that already. Well, we'll see. We'll see. The CIA's over there in Venezuela. The United States is planning to establish a permanent foothold in post-Maduro Venezuela. U.S. planning CIA foothold, according to a report out of CNN. The CIA is reportedly working to set up a permanent U.S. presence inside Venezuela as part of the Trump administration's plans following Maduro's capture. Early planning focuses on establishing a CIA annex before reopening the U.S. embassy so intelligence officers can handle security, build local contacts, and liaise with Venezuelan counterparts during the volatile transition, according to CNN. Spain approves plan to grant legal status to around 500,000 migrants passing the plan via royal decree, circumventing the need for a vote in parliament. So essentially a royal executive order, their royal decree. Make all these illegals legal. I'm sure the Spanish will appreciate that. France takes a dramatic step. Social media ban for under 15-year-old users passes. The French National Assembly just approved a bill that could prevent kids from using social media like Snapchat, Instagram, TikTok, according to a report out of the BBC. They're turning the screws here on censorship again. Well, they rolled it out in Australia already. And so again, it's always to keep the children safe, and you should police your children. If they're on the internet, watch what they're up to, but isn't that up to the parents? Well, now the government, because they care so much about the children, and it's going to mission creep all the way to censor freaking everything. You see, and a forerunner to your digital ID as well. Well, you're not a kid, prove it, show your ID on the internet, as they're turning the screws on internet control and the digital ID. Trump put this post out about making Iraq great again. I'm hearing that the great country of Iraq might make a very bad choice by reinstalling Nouri al-Maliki as prime minister. Last time Maliki was in power, the country descended into poverty and total chaos. That should not be allowed to happen again because of his insane policies and ideologies. If elected, the United States of America will no longer help Iraq. And if we are not there to help, Iraq has zero chance of success, prosperity, or freedom. Make Iraq great again. So without us propping up Iraq, it would all collapse, I guess, and Iran would take it over, I guess is what he's insinuating there. So as the Constitution says, it's our responsibility to prop up Iraq. You see, I'm glad that we're police of the world still after 25 years after 9/11. Massive military buildup is being reported there as we're awaiting an imminent strike against Iran. Today, it's being reported tons of U.S. Air Force military assets are moving in to the region there. Here's the map you can see. And so MQ-4C, Navy drones there, buzzing the Gulf, KC-135R tankers, a bunch of other C-130s, Boeing 737s. It goes on, all these military buildups all right here as we await some type of strike on Iran. Trump says the situation with Iran is, quote, in flux, with the United States sending a massive armada to the region. Yeah. They got military, they got ships, aircraft, boots on the ground at the bases there. Obviously not in Iran, but a massive military buildup. Strikes are still on the table. We have a big armada next to Iran, bigger than we had in Venezuela. The White House said they want to make a deal. They want to talk. Yeah. They put out very provocative AI videos yesterday out of Iran of them attacking and destroying U.S. Navy ships. So it's getting, the war drums are beating there loudly in Iran again. Shadow President Bibi on Iran said Trump will decide what he will decide. Aardvark land will decide what we decide, as if we're not operating in lockstep on all of West Asia. Give me a break. We are prepared for any scenario. If Iran makes the mistake of attacking us, it will be met with a response that it cannot even imagine, Bibi said. Well, we have to preemptively strike them because they were going to nuke us in 2 weeks, you see, for the last 20, 30 years. So we got to preemptively strike them again, right? Turkey, Turkey's right there, right? And they're like, hey, we're kind of a big country. We're part of NATO. We do some stuff. You guys, we get a say? No. Turkey, right? Turkey right here, right? And right here's, they're like right here, Syria, right on their border. There's the aardvarks, right? Gaza right there. So they can claim to be concerned about regional security. I would say that's a legitimate claim. Anyhow, Turkey is, and Erdogan with the big mouth, oh, we're against the aardvark genocide, but then we've been reporting, oh, his little side deals here and there, but actually he's profiteering from it as well. But Turkey is preparing for a worst case scenario in Iran and is considering establishing a buffer zone on the Iranian side of the border to prevent a new wave of refugees if the current Iranian regime falls. So Turkey now voicing concerns right here is the border, right, between Turkey and Iran. Hey, we don't want your refugees, Turkey says. Turkish officials also said recent protests in Iran left about 4,000 dead and 20,000 wounded after essentially a failed Western-backed coup against the Iranian regime, as we've reported here now. So Turkey preparing for another war with Iran. We're waiting to see. I thought it would have happened already by now. Maybe Trump doesn't. And we've had reports Aardvark land wasn't ready. So who knows? Who knows? But massive military buildup there. Everybody on high alert, waiting to see what's the next move with Iran. Mother of all deals coming out of the EU, they're claiming. Report out of Bloomberg, EU and India clinch mother of all deals in rebuff to Trump. So remember, we threatened the hell out of, or Trump has threatened India with tariffs. And did we ever go as far as sanctions? I don't know if he ever threatened sanctions. I know he threatened tariffs. Hey, if you guys buy that dirty Russian oil that's fueling the Russian war machine, we're sanctioning or we're tariffing the hell out of you. I remember that. But turns out EU hasn't weaponized tariffs in such a way as Trump. The European Union and India concluded a free trade agreement after almost 2 decades of negotiations, part of an effort to deepen economic ties that has gained momentum due to the Trump administration's aggressive tariff policies. We have concluded the mother of all deals, European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen said today in a social media post. There's her post, and she does look very Indian there, right? Sure does. Europe and India are making history today. We have concluded the mother of all deals. That's like a shot at Trump, right? Art of the deal. And he's the Mr. Deal Maker. And so a direct shot at Trump from Ursula von der Leyen with that wording, mother of all deals. We have created a free trade zone of 2 billion people with both sides set to benefit. This is only the beginning. We will grow our strategic relationship to be even stronger. The The mother of all deals, a direct shot at Trump there. China's top general accused of giving nuclear secrets to the United States. They'll execute this guy in China if this is proven true there. You better believe it. Here, we'll give him a freaking award and a promotion. So this guy, China's senior most general, is accused of leaking information about the country's nuclear weapons program to the United States and accepting bribes for official acts, including the promotion of an officer to defense minister, said people familiar with the high-level briefing on the allegations. Yeah, this dude's done for, and that's a report out of Wall Street Journal. Yeah, they execute you in China straight up. They ain't playing there. Aardvark Land prepares talks with U.S. on 10-year security deal. And so it's wonderful, I do believe, right? Aardvark Land is getting ready to encourage the United States in negotiations over a new decade-long security agreement aiming to maintain military backing, even as Aardvark officials claim they are planning for a future with less direct U.S. financial support. And they never are sneaky and shady in any way. Also, I want to add to this report, so we can always take an Aardvark at their word, you see. Let's see, the Financial Times went on to report that Defense Minister earlier this month said Aardvark Land wants to emphasize cooperation on joint military and defense initiatives rather than cash aid. They want us more. They want our hands bloody, like literal drenched in blood, even worse than they already are now. You see, the partnership is more important than just a net financial issue. In this context, there are a lot of things that are equal to money. He added, Ruckus, if you're listening out there, he added that quote, free money totaling $3.3 billion annually and used by Aardvark Land to purchase U.S. weapons has one component of the MOU that could decrease gradually. Continuing here, Saudi Crown Prince MBS tells Iran, we will not allow our airspace or territory to be used for any military action. As sides are forming up here again. So the genocide continues. According to the Gaza Ministry of Health, in the last 24 hours, 2 Palestinians have been killed and 9 injured. And the death of a 12-year-old infant due to freezing, due to exposure, has also been reported. The Gaza Ministry of Health says the continued closure of the Rafah crossing to the departure of patients and the wounded is worsening their health conditions to a dangerous level that threatens their lives. 20,000 people with complicated medical referrals or with completed medical referrals are waiting for permission to travel abroad for treatment. The shortage of medications and medical supplies, the suspension of most specialized services, and the destruction of hospital infrastructure have worsened waiting lists for treatment abroad. 440 of the registered cases are considered life-saving emergency cases. 1,268 patients have died while waiting for permission to travel abroad for treatment. Cancer patients are among the most affected and are suffering the most due to the closure of the crossings and lack of specialized treatments and diagnostic services. 4,000 cancer patients are on urgent waiting lists for travel. 4,500 of the cases with registered medical referrals are children. Only 3,100 patients have been able to leave the Gaza Strip since the closure of the Rafah land crossing on May 7, 2024. Another part of the genocide there, the siege, as we continue to report. And then here is Bibi saying, Aardvark land will maintain security control from Jordan River to the sea. Obviously.
ישראל תשלוט ביטחונית בכל המרחב מהירדן ועד הים, וזה נכון גם לגבי...
Sorry, no English translation there for you. More from Bibi says, now we are focusing on completing the 2 remaining missions, disarming Hamas and the demilitarization of Gaza. There are only 2 possibilities. Either it will be done the easy way or it will be done the hard way. Well, I think we already know it's going to be done the hard way here now, because you still got people there and you need that land, right? More from Bibi today says, I'm hearing people say that we should allow the rebuilding of Gaza before the demilitarization. That will not happen. I hear the people are saying that Turkish and Qatari soldiers should be allowed in. That will not happen either. And then here is Aardvark land should target Americans with information warfare and psychological operations to win them over to the Zionist cause. Pro-Aardvark land activist Kreis Rita tells Dan Decker of the Jerusalem Center for Security and Foreign Affairs. Let's take a listen to, they are targeting Christians with information warfare and psychological operations, i.e. geofencing. I saw a local guy on the Facebook. I'm not on the Facebook much because it's not a very good platform, honestly, for news. But for your local news, I guess it is. Anyhow, I saw a guy on there posting that, oh, yeah, local churches here, Christian churches in Fresno, California, are using geofencing to target their congregations with pro-Zionist messaging. And he's like, what is going on here? You know what I mean? So it is indeed going on.
Why can't Israel be doing some sort of, counterintelligence, information warfare like this, where they are actually doing the same type of, psychological operations in America, where they're actually trying to penetrate, communities that do share their values and get them to recognize that. I feel like this is just going to be like clipped, and I'm just going to be, somebody's going to be like, oh, here's this Zionist Jew admitting that Israel has to infiltrate, Christian conservative communities to try to pull the strings or control the world. I know, I can just see something like this happening. But let me just give you an analogy. After the Cold War, and this happened throughout the Cold War as well by the Soviets, but after the Cold War, and Trevor Loudon really talks about this a lot, Russia began a very targeted campaign to rebuild its image after the Cold War, right? Because the Soviet was, a leftist entity that looked very, very unfavorable in the eyes of Christians and conservatives in America. And so Russia started targeting in the 90s heavily Christian conservative communities in the States and inviting them to conferences
with agents of influence,
sending liaisons, and essentially saying to them, we're on your side. Russia, we're not the same, we're not the same as we were before. We are proud Christians. We share your values, the same values that you do as Americans. We believe in strong families, and we believe in national pride and local communities, right? And this has had a tremendous impact today on why certain factions of the right, namely like the paleo-conservative and the libertarian spaces of the Rand Pauls and the Pat Buchanans, are so sympathetic to Russia in the Ukraine war, because they actually believe that Russia kind of mirrors America in terms of our values. They have believed the lies about Russia being like a proud Christian country, which we all know is ridiculous. And they believe the lip service that has been fed to them. So I would argue, why in the world isn't Israel? I mean, look, maybe they are, and if they are doing this, then congrats, because we shouldn't know that they're doing. So hopefully, if they did do this, nobody would know, right? But why can't Israel be doing some sort of counterintelligence, information warfare like this, where they are actually doing the same type of like a psychological operations in America, where they're actually trying to penetrate communities that do share their values and get them to recognize that, right? Because I just don't understand, when we're up against these enemies with these incredible capabilities in this age of info warfare and the internet, I don't understand why Israel and America, frankly, would not be utilizing the same tactics as our enemies have.
Oh, they are. You better believe they are using these same tactics. And again, it's the Aardvark's own soldiers, the majority of them posting their own genocides, is what has turned the world against them here now. So yeah, today was International Holocaust Remembrance Day. Speech at the UN, the 6 million, the wooden door. I digress. I can't even get into it due to censorship, but I would say look it up. And the numbers don't add up there. At the very least, not saying the Nazis are good guys either here. That's for sure. What is so unique about the American soldier? Well, let's hear old U.S. Ambassador Michael Walls at the UN today.
And what, as an aside, I want to say that is so unique about the American soldier is they are willing to go all over the world and die for other people's freedom. Those people, those soldiers bore witness so the world could never, ever again plead ignorance. Their courage ended one nightmare and issued that timeless command that we've said today, never again. But never again must be words. It has to be more than words, and it has to be action. And yet...
So there you go. Yeah, U.S. soldiers are fighting for other people's freedom around the world, just like the U.S. Constitution says. It's all illegal foreign wars of aggression, unconstitutional. They don't care. Oh, and never again. You got a live genocide going on right now. Mum's the word, you'll be censored. Question too much about it. Here's this character, Danny Danon, Aardvark Land Ambassador of the UN. He's calling for indictments, prosecutions, and convictions for anti-Semitic behavior. Maybe look in the mirror. Look at your own soldiers. The other ones that posted their crimes all over the internet and are cited in the indictments against your leaders.
Remembrance alone is not enough, because while we remember, Jews are attacked. While we speak, hatred spreads. Words, slogans, and statements have failed to stop the violence. I stand before you as Israel's ambassador to sound the alarm. The time for talk is over. The time for action is now. In recent years, we have heard many warnings from this podium about the rise of anti-Semitism. about dangerous lies, about how hatred begins with language. Those warnings are right, but they ring hollow when the lies that fuel anti-Semitism are allowed to spread, including here, in this building, in the UN. When false narratives are repeated in this chamber, they do not stay here. They spread across the world with the rubber stamp of the UN. They harden into belief, they turn into hatred. To my fellow ambassadors here today, when you return to your missions later this afternoon, please ask for the numbers. How many anti-Semitic incidents were reported in the past year in your country? How many threats? How many attacks? Then ask the harder questions. How many indictments? How many prosecutions? How many convictions? When you see that gap, do not explain it away. That gap is a measure of failure. It is a space where hatred grows. It is not.
If you're not prosecuting alleged hate crimes, according to the guy representing an ongoing genocide, then you're falling short here now. Calls to boycott Aardvark land are not free speech. In the White House, of course. This is International Holocaust Remembrance Day, and every day we honor their enduring resilience, faith, and strength as we recommit to the sacred truth that every human being is made in the holy image of God. Donald Trump's message today. And then, of course, J.D. Vance, Mr. Technocracy. They're lying. Okay, they're dark occultist, transhumanist, especially this character, J.D. Vance. But there he is doing his duty. Doing his duty to honor the victims of the Holocaust on this International Holocaust Remembrance Day. Little Marco said, our Secretary of State, he said, on International Holocaust Remembrance Day, we reaffirm our commitment to countering anti-Semitism, defending historic truth, and to upholding the immortal words, never again. It's all ringing hollow to me, though. Gutierrez, UN Secretary General, says the Holocaust did not begin with killing, it began with words. We just covered all the insane inflammatory rhetoric coming out of both Republicans and Democrats in this country today. Here's the newly appointed CEO of TikTok. As what this new, we'll come back to it. I think I missed some reporting about, we'll have to come back to it. Here's the new CEO of TikTok.
We made a change to designate the use of the term Zionist as a proxy for a protected attribute as hate speech. So if somebody were to use Zionist, of course you can use it in the sense of you're a proud Zionist, but if you're using it in the context of degrading somebody, calling somebody a Zionist as a dirty name, then that gets designated as hate speech to be moderated against. Over the course of 2024, we tripled the amount of accounts that we were banning for hateful activity. We also have, I think, over 24 Jewish organizations that are constantly feeding us intelligence and information when they spot violative trends. There is no finish line. There's no finish line to moderating hate speech, identifying hateful trends, trying to keep the platform safe. There's no such thing as an end game. We made a change.
There's no end to the censorship there, And yeah, I've cried a few times over Karen's comments. Says words are so dangerous, words hurt feelings, you know. They bought up what, a bunch recently, right? Paramount, ZBS News, TikTok. There's a big old list, bunch of media because of hurt feelings. Don't be hateful. Don't be hateful. Why are you offended by it? You're proud of it, but it's all just open to their own interpretation of hate speech, which is a violation of our First Amendment here in America. There's no such thing as, quote, hate speech. U.S. Ambassador to Aardvark land, Huckabee. Listen to this. Is this guy for real? I don't know. I don't know if this guy's for real, a true believer, or just a propagandist. But man, oh man, Mike Huckabee.
There's never been an administration, ever, Democrat or Republican, doesn't matter, never been an administration that has put so much focus, attention, and official stamp of approval to say, this is not something that we will just look the other way, hope disappears on its own. We will fight it as a government, as an administration, because it's the morally right thing to do, and because I believe deep down, the president believes, as so many of us, if you bless Israel, you will be blessed. And if you curse Israel, you will be cursed. He'd rather America be blessed, and I believe he's well on the way to making that happen.
Ambassador Mike Huckabee, thank you so much for being.
I guess he's a true believer. He says he is, so that explains his behavior. What do we got? Play this report. Aardvark land's genocide on Gaza has resulted in the complete destruction of about 2,700 families, with at least 40,000 families targeted over the past 2 years, according to Al Jazeera report, wiping out entire bloodlines.
While each individual death is a tragedy in its own right, the scale of generational loss is hard to comprehend. You see, in the last 2 years, more than 2,700 families have been wiped off of Gaza's civil registry. At least 40,000 families have been targeted, and 6,000 families have been left with just a single sole survivor, erasing Palestinian bloodlines, the very essence of genocide.
I don't know about that, but we've gone over the international definition of genocide, and it matches what is going on there in Gaza for anyone wondering, and look it up yourself. Palestinians held protests in the Gaza Strip condemning Aardvark land's ongoing attacks, demolition operations, as well as restrictions preventing them from returning home near the yellow line. You may not want to live near that yellow line. Despite the announced start of the second phase of the ceasefire agreement, here they are. What do you even say to these people at this point? You know what I mean? It's just, damn, man. There they are with their little signs trying to protest. They'll whack you. They'll whack you for sure. They say Rumble's changed something. Mine has been showing 0 until I hit the button. Yeah, give me that like, share, subscribe, push that notification button. Even though they're telling me in the comments on the YouTube it don't even matter, but do it anyway. What the hell? Let's go through that routine. Give me the like, share, subscribe, push that notification button, please. Thank you very much. And some reporting I missed. That's all we got on all of the news, but I wanted to get to, how did I miss this? I don't know. We covered a lot today. I wanted to get back to, the heck was it? Anyway, Trump signed an executive order on to help the hell is it? Did I copy over it? To help the victims of the LA fires. Where was it? Now I got to go find it because I had a couple reports about it and I don't know what I did with them here. Anyway, I'm going to go look it up right there again so I can report to you what's happening here. And Gavin Newsom's reply. Somehow I lost that section of the show. Live here. We're doing it live. Okay. Thought I had that section together. Maybe not. Maybe not. We did cover the here it is. Okay. Sorry about that. So today, Trump signed an executive order addressing LA wildfire rebuilding failures. Again, calling it wildfire. I believe it was arson. Arrests say as much. And the power companies being sued as well for mechanical failure. So kind of not an act of nature. Here's the executive order. Addressing state and local failures to rebuild Los Angeles after wildfire disasters. Again, arson. One year ago today, state of California and Los Angeles City and county governments failed to contain wildfires, arson, that ravaged Los Angeles and consumed nearly 40,000 acres of homes and businesses. We reported every day about it. Quite horrific. Our friend Peter Duke lost his house, and I believe his whole family lost their homes there in that area. Horrific tragedy for him and his family, but he's doing better now and has found a stable living situation according to his report. So bless his heart and all of his hard work at the Duke report. Anyhow, continuing here, they failed to maintain water distribution and reservoir systems. So these systems would be available and fully functional in case of emergency. That's true. No one gets in trouble. What? They fired the lesbian fire chief because I guess she's the scapegoat, right? No one else has faced any accountability for anything. I guess the arsonist, maybe. I haven't followed up on that reporting. They then failed to quickly communicate evacuation warnings and failed to act decisively or cohesively to contain the fire once it started burning. No one faces any accountability for anything. Story of our government. The federal government has approved numerous individual relief claims to provide financial support directly to owners of homes and businesses and help survivors repair, rebuild, return home, reopen their businesses, and restore their communities. But many homeowners and businesses have been unable to use these funds as they navigate overly burdensome, confusing, inconsistent permitting requirements, duplicative permitting reviews, procedural bottleneck, administrative delays at the city, county, and state levels. Elected leaders have refused to take even the minimum action necessary to allow many of these survivors to move forward and rebuild their lives. The ultimate tragic failure of the state of California and the city of Los Angeles to live up to their moral and legal obligations to their citizens. As a result, despite the federal government's expeditious clearing debris and doing its part to support survivors, the actions of state and local authorities have ensured that the vast majority of the tens of thousands of homes and businesses destroyed in the arson fires, wildfires, have not yet been rebuilt a year later. Yeah, all that's true. All that's true. Within 30 days of the date of this order, determine what amount, if any, of the nearly $3 billion in unspent hazard mitigation grant funds, which was awarded to mitigate hazards, including the threat of future wildfires, to citizens, arsons. To citizens of California was awarded arbitrarily and capriciously. And so looks like the feds are going to try to do something here with allegedly helping out the victims here. The federal government completed hazardous material sweeps and cleared 9,500 properties, over 2.6 million tons of debris in just 6 months. But since then, American families, small businesses affected by the wildfires have been forced to continue to live in the nightmare of delay. All that red tape, regulations, and bureaucracy we went over there. And so what is the reply from Gavin Newsom? Here, the Department of, or the Small Business Administration, excuse me, with a pandemic profiteer, lawful lady heading it, former senator. Anyhow, she says Governor Newsom and Mayor Bass had over a year to clear the local permitting backlogs that have prevented California wildfire arson fire survivors from accessing $3.2 billion in SBA relief funds. They should have made it 3.3, right? That was approved to help them rebuild. Today, Trump, through executive action, is getting the job done. The president's new executive order empowers the SBA to issue regulations that will allow disaster survivors who have faced delays to bypass all the local red tape, accept their SBA funding, and begin rebuilding immediately. The action will directly benefit thousands of homeowners and business owners who have yet to receive their rebuilding permits due to local bureaucracy holdups. To date, fewer than 3,000 permits have been issued in Los Angeles out of 16,000 destroyed structures. The Trump administration has made unprecedented relief available to California wildfire victims. With this executive order, the message is clear. We will not allow failed state leadership to stand in the way of recovery for American disaster survivors. And then what is Gavin Newsom's reply to this? His press office, these trolls essentially is what they are. They say they're Gavin Newsom's press office. They have the gray check mark. It's their official account here, but they're essentially just internet trolls. They say with 1,625 plus home permits issued, hundreds of homes under construction, and permitting timelines at least 2 times faster than before the fires, the executive order to rebuild Mars would do just as useful. The feds need to release funding, not take over local permit approval speed. The main obstacle is communities not having the money to rebuild. Mr. President, please actually help us. We are begging you, release the federal disaster aid you're withholding that will help communities rebuild their homes, schools, parks, and infrastructure. Please help us, please. Begging for money there out of Newsom press office. A little bit different than the usual trolling going on there. And then Newsom himself, I don't believe he's posting on this. I don't believe he's the info warrior. Is it even him doing the podcast? What were they talking about? Some show. Was it the Boiler Room? I think they were talking about, is any of this real? Is it all just AI? You know what I mean? Like, or maybe it was Ruckus on here. One of these shows. Anyway, yeah, I don't know. They're not. Are these politicians the ones actually posting on their social media accounts? Representing it as if the message is coming from them? Or is it just their PR propaganda social media managers misrepresenting our representatives' message to the public? I believe that is happening in many of these cases, as the Biden administration is being accused of being the auto pin administration. I believe that we're not getting direct messages from our, quote, elected representatives through their social media accounts. I believe this is not them. It's starting to look like that. Here's Gavin Newsom. And is it even them on these, podcasts, internet shows? Is that just all AI as well? We got to start asking these questions as it gets more bizarre with the trolling, especially out of Gavin Newsom's office, also the White House. I mean, some of this trolling is just, and the direct calls, as we continue to report here, from politicians, quote, elected representatives, directly inciting violence against the other side. I mean, so Gavin Newsom, his personal account here, went on to say, Donald Trump has signed a useless executive order rather than deliver the $34 billion California's taxpayers deserve in wildfire disaster aid to actually rebuild. It's been over a year, and he's refused to help the American people. Disgusting. And with that, let's wrap it up. Let me go to the Odysee channel here as we celebrate 85 seconds from midnight, the end of the world, according to the atomic scientists, on this Tuesday, January 27th, 2026. Over to the Odysee. Fat Bob, Highland, John, thank you. Thank you guys for chatting it up over there, keeping that chat going. Says, I've noticed that foreign names seem to throw you, Sam. John says, yeah, not very good at pronouncing even domestic names, I don't think. Exactly, they died of malnutrition and illness, mostly typhus. Talking about World War II, I believe there is a war strike, something I would find on Bitchute. The knucklehead may have picked up a tear gas grenade or a smoke bomb. Yeah. So anyway, that was the correction from at the beginning from Monday's show. Apparently they were not shot in the hand, that protester. They picked up some type of explosive device that blew up in their hand. It looks like what happened. But still, I didn't see any official reporting or anything. But that looks to be the way it went down. I think Trump is doing this to increase violence so he can suspend the Constitution under martial law. Then they may go door to door seizing weapons. John said, I believe that scenario is probably on the table for them to, do anything. Anything and everything is on the table, as we've seen, to maintain control. What else does they say here? I just send the Kim Chol It was an Aardvarkland rabbi who got me to read Mein Kampf when he said everything written in the book is true. Damn, John said. Damn. All right, with that, thank you everybody for tuning in on X, Kick, Facebook, Twitch, Rumble, and YouTube. And as always, everybody do your own research. Peace, love, and freedom. Speak out and take action. Have a great rest of your Tuesday evening. And we'll be back here on Wednesday for more.